Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Sempre Milan bonus podcast on Substack. It's all change in the defensive department over the weekend as Milan have said goodbye to Malick Thiaw and will be welcoming Koni De Winter. We are going to be talking about both deals and what to expect from the new centre-back. Here he is.
Evening.
2 in a row. What's happening here? What's happening here?
I'm moving up in the ranks.
Yeah, new 18,
I say that.
I think.
I'll say that.
Yeah.
See you again in December, lads.
Yeah. Very much the Warren Bondo role of the podcasting circle that we have. No, this is great. As mentioned, second in a row. We spoke in the last bonus podcast about the signing of who was it? Forgotten already.
Jashari.
Of course, yeah.
It took that long.
Yeah,
forgetting in the first instance of needing him.
Yeah, due to scheduling conflicts this week, shall we say, peek behind the curtain, it's my birthday. I've got some plans coming up later in the week. But we got the Here We Go on the Koni De Winter thing. The Here We Go has already come on the Malick Thiaw thing. So we are recording this earlier in the week for release in a few days in line with the normal schedule for the bonus podcast. So fingers crossed he don't fail his medical.
It'd be a bit... Ooh.
Yeah. Cat amongst the pigeons stuff. But anyway, yeah, we feel fairly safe doing this. Something that's kind of been threatening to happen all summer has happened in the sense that a centre-back has gone and the money has come in that I guess we couldn't refuse. We're going to talk a little bit about the Thiaw deal before we move on to De Winter. And we moved quickly for a replacement. You know, it was also looking as though we might not make any movements in that particular department, especially as you get towards mid-August. But there's always been murmurings of interest. We know that a fee was agreed with Como for Thiaw before, and Newcastle have come back in and they've put up the cash. And yeah, that I think we must have already had some groundwork in place for a replacement for it to get done so quickly as it did in the end. Yeah. But yeah, let's talk about Thiaw first. Going back to Newcastle's, what would you call it, reigniting of interest. Did you think that this one was going to get done from the off? I personally did. When they came back in, I thought they are desperate for a centre-back and they've got the cash to spend. So I did think that his days were numbered at that point.
Yeah, I don't think it was too much of a shock that there was A, the interest in him, and then B, that it went further than it just being interest like it was last summer, because it was Tamari first last year, wasn't it? And then they moved to Thiaw. I'm not too against it as well. I don't think it's a bad deal for kind of either party. They get a young centre back that they need, really a bit more reliability at the back in numbers wise anyway, and then we get a good amount of money for somebody that's been kind of at the door for a little while, because there's been rumours for however long, and even in the Vlahovic deal, Thiaw's now got mentioned as a potential candidate to be moved on there, despite Allegri saying that he liked him. So there's always been some little kind of inkling that he might leave, or he might have something there towards the end of the summer. So getting it done now with time to replace him, and then replacing him as quickly as we have done, it's only a beneficial thing, I think, in everyone's eyes, really.
Yeah, I'm sort of the opinion that it's kind of in the best interests of all parties that this got done, in the sense that I always saw something there with Thiaw, and I thought that Allegri coming in, I wasn't surprised to read those reports that he quite likes his mould as a defender, because I'm thinking we're going to play a deeper line. He's not going to be exposed so much with a high line this upcoming season, and we know what he does well. Comfortable on the ball, pretty good aerially. You know, things that you would expect Allegri to like in a defender, especially with the system and his way of playing. So I wasn't surprised to read that kind of thing coming out, but at the same time, from Thiaw's point of view, we switched to playing a three-man defence under Conceição kind of back end of last season, and he was fourth choice out of the three, you know. Yeah. So he can't have been feeling particularly good about that. Como came in, it sounded like he deliberated on that for a while, but it just wasn't the right step forward in his eyes, even though he would have got a pay rise and things like that. He was clearly waiting for a move back to Germany or a move to a team that's playing in European competitions. He's well within his rights to do that, because I don't think he was ever going to down tools. It was more just a case of seeing what opportunities were out there. So can understand it totally from the player's side. He gets to move to a club that will be playing Champions League football. Can understand it from Newcastle's side. They needed the centre-back and they have the money to put up for it, so they were able to raise that offer very quickly and get him in very quickly. And I understand it from Milan's side as well, because we're making over 30 million capital gain on a player that, was a fourth choice centre-back ultimately last season. And it's not like we were short of options to go out and replace him. And of course, we're going to analyse the player that we've actually brought in to do that. But there were other names that were in and around the orbit as well, already playing in Serie A. So I think that we saw it as kind of a low-risk exit. I also wonder with what leaked through Matteo Moretto about Allegri liking Thiaw and Allegri liking Musa, considering those were the two players that open negotiations were on with Premier League clubs over an exit, if that was just like a bit of mouthpiece stuff to try and drive the price up. Like, oh no, Milan don't want to sell him. It's going to have to be a great bid, and then the bid comes in, and he's on a flight. But Allegri did say after the Chelsea game that it's a shame that he's leaving, but this is how the market works, and he has confidence in the management to go out and find a replacement. So it's done. It's 3 years he's done with us as well, and there's been highs and lows within that. I think it's important to remember how important he was in things such as the run to the Champions League semi-final, the season after the Scudetto win. But it was strange. Like, he never really nailed down a starting spot,
No.
So there is that element of regret, I think.
I think last season, especially, like, it felt very much like the cycle was coming to an end last year, just because he started the season really poorly, got injured straight after that, if I remember correctly, and then struggled to pretty much get back into things and was always kind of there or thereabouts in a season where Tomori was disliked by Fonseca, and even then he was kind of hit and miss. Fonseca picking him then. Pavlovic was hit and miss. Like, the amount of centre-back partnerships we used last season, the amount of times we discussed that is ridiculous. But even in that situation, he never got the chance to kind of break through and make a starting spot his own. And that's one of the ones where you kind of look at it and you question it and say, why is that the case? Even now, like going back to what I was saying about the kind of transfer moves away, you've always had that kind of, it's either him or Pavlovic, and putting them in the same bracket says a lot about the trust and faith for them, but it's also, there is that market value for them. So naturally, if an English club comes across and goes, we're going to offer you X amount of money for somebody, when earlier in the window we've offered 25 million euros for him, you're automatically going to listen. And